Hi. There are a number of ways that you can tell that a particular sutra is one of special consequence. And one of those ways is that some sutras actually have names, and others have nicknames, and others have little adorable stories that go with them. But you can imagine that ones that have actual names in the tradition, that counts for something. And the next sutra we're going to discuss is important in a whole number of ways. And a reflection of that is its name, Rahणक-sh. 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 So, Rahणक-sh, Shastra is command, and Rahणaka is causes you to catch hold of. So it's the command that makes you catch hold or take hold of something. Take hold of what? We will see. So Rahणक-sh. Here is number 1169 in Ashtadhyayi and 14 in Siddhanta Kaumadi. Anudit savarnasya cha pratyayaha. Anudit savarnasya cha pratyayaha. Anudit savarnasya cha pratyayaha. An udit savarnasya cha apratyayaha. An udit savarnasya cha apratyayaha. Now, before we dive into the understanding and discussion of the sutra, I would strongly advocate that you review the 4 videos that we have made earlier on Akshara Samamnaya, all 4 of them, please, especially the first 3, because they, as I said at the time, they include many levels of information as that they are presenting it to you there, but now is the time to go back and try to understand them again, because without this sutra you can only kind of understand a lot of the things that we talked about, and without grasping those Akshara Samamnaya sutras, this sutra won't have any real meaning. Furthermore, also please review the video on the places of articulation, because specific parts of that come into play here. So, having said that, there's another reason to be excited about this sutra other than the fact that it's got its own name, title. The first sound formation in the sutra, an. Now, it's a pratyahara. And so let's look back at what we learned the first day. A-I-un. Well, an would be a pratyahara of a-i-u, a-i-un. But, hold the phone, if we go a little further, a-i-un, ruluk, eong, I-ouch, hayavarat, lan. Hayavarat, lan. And as I said at the time, and repeat it occasionally when I saw a chance, there is only one time in which that second n is the n which appears in a pratyahara, and this is that one time. How exciting is that? So the an here is not a-i-u, not an a-i-un. It is a-i-un, ruluk, eong, I-ouch, hayavarat, l. An. So, that's exciting. Now, udit, we've used this concept before. Udit means one that has a hrasva u for it. It's a Bahuvrahi compound, a teeny weeny little one. So udit is udit, and which means that one which has hrasva u for it. Now, the reason for reviewing in particular the places of articulation is that that's where we first heard of perhaps the udits, because that refers to a particular group of sounds, namely ku, chu, tu, pu. Ku, chu, tu, pu. That's the way that in an earlier structure, these consonants were categorized and referred to, and they've been absorbed into Ashtadhyayi. So udits are the ones that have u, hrasva u for it, and that means ku, chu, tu, pu, ka, ga, ga, and so on. And then the next part of the sutra, Savarnasya, pertaining to the Savarna, and apratyayaha, that has the connotation not otherwise enjoined, or not otherwise being enjoined in a sutra. Also, according to some readings, that particularly means not pertaining to affixes, But that's not our main concern at the moment. So the meaning of the surface meaning and the actual meaning of the sutra then is an, again, the an with lan, a I un ruluk eung ayal chayavarat lan, an, unless otherwise enjoined, and udits stand for themselves, swamrupam. Oh, I didn't mention that. So swamrupam is one's own form. We could say that's implied. And for their savarnas. So all of the letters connoted by ending in lan, and the udits stand for themselves and their savarnas. Now, what's the implication of that? Well, the very first time we discussed akshara samamnaya, we maintained that a, I, u, in a, I, u, each of those letters represented a whole class of savarnas to them. We may not have used that word at the time, but that's what they amount to. So in the case of a, I, u, each of those has 18 savarnas. And we analyzed that in detail in that first video. Nasaka, Unanasaka, Rasvadirga, Pluta, Uchayara, Nichayara, Samahara, Svaritaha, all of those. R and Lur each have 30 savarnas. They stand for 30 letters. A, I, O, Au each stand for 12 letters. What that means is every time a rule in the grammar is used describing any of these sounds, then that rule pertains to all of the variants of that sound, unless, well, there's always a catch, there's some other constraint on one or the other. So when we saw udit, it was ut-it, and it was ut to say only hrasva. So that's the first constraint, and that will be our next sutra, taparasta kalasya, when preceded followed by t, a vowel stands for that length only. So there you go, Rahणक-sh. It takes hold, meaning when a sutra says a, I, u, either one of those, it applies to all, it takes hold of all of their savarnas at the same time. So, upward and onward.